And for more on China and Russia's trade and economic ties, I'm joined by Charles Ortel, Managing Director at Newport Value Partners. Charles, always good to have you on the show. Thanks for joining us again.
Thanks for having me on, Michelle.
A pretty momentous deal for China and Russia. Several agreements were signed today, Charles, spanning across agriculture, energy, trade, finance, billions and billions and billions in play here. Which of these agreements do you think is the most significant?
Well, I actually think the energy one is the most interesting because from China's standpoint, I think they're striking, depending on the long-term pricing here, they're likely striking a good pricing deal, a good way of securing essential long-term supplies for key inputs to make the economy go forward, their own economy go forward. So I think that's the most significant of the three that I've seen.
The one between Gazprom and China National Petroleum. Well, China also agreed to set up a $25 billion fund to finance or help out Russian businesses. Which industries do you think are going to reap the most merit and reward from this?
I think that it's a natural now to try to build out, meaningfully build out the infrastructure, not in sort of make-work projects, but in real projects, the kind that made this country really go forward after World War II, the interstate system, for example. Russia's road system is not very good. The connections over land and by rail between China and Russia are not good at all. If they were to get much stronger, I think you could open up, vast areas of Russia to productive investment, extractive industries, and it's just, I think it's a very interesting and momentous set of deals that they've inked.
Charles, you sat here several months ago when we were discussing the conflict in the Ukraine and the Western sanctions against Russia. And we said, all this will do is push Russia into the arms of China. And it's played out exactly like that. Many are saying that there could be an anti-Western coalition agenda here. Do you think that that's the case?
I absolutely think so. I mean, I'd remind your viewers that when Putin gave his first speech in Davos in 2000, I think it was 2009, shortly after Barack Obama was inaugurated, he laid out this roadmap a long time ago. He said the Western approach of too much debt, too much deficit, mammoth government intervention inside high-cost industries is a prescription for disaster, and he's been proven right. His cost structure is low. Parts of China, the cost structure is low. He is people short and land. They're close, they're neighbors. I think he's playing his cards sensibly, and we're not.
Well, what do you think the U.S. and the other Western countries are going to do in response to these stronger ties?
I just think we're going to be watching from the upper decks here. I mean, you look at the whole picture out there. Now you have Russia and China getting closer together. Japan has got to be watching this with great alarm because they see the U.S. retreating around the world. And who's going to back? Does
this spur them to increase sanctions or to reduce sanctions?
I think we don't know what we're doing at this stage. I mean, sanctions they haven't worked very well.
All right. Well, speaking today at a signing ceremony, Putin said, and I quote, "Today, China is our strategic and key partner." How much further do you think this friendship, this relationship can go? What would be the next step?
Oh, I think, more deals. Actually, one way it could go would be to create some kind of alternative investment currency. That I think is a very straightforward proposition. One way you could do it is you put more capital into this infrastructure bank and encourage the bank to sell deposits that are backed by gold or backed by some real commodity, so that investors who are starved for putting money where it's not going to be eroded by inflation would look at that new institution and feel comfortable putting money there.
In these negotiations or in these trade deals, Russia really doesn't have other trading partners to work with, whereas China, well, everybody wants to do business with China. So China certainly has the upper hand. How does that impact these economic ties that are being formed?
Well, I mean, Russia is rightfully fearful of its various neighbors, given the long history of that country going back centuries. And I think they view, I don't know, but I would guess they view with alarm the prospect of a China with so many more people than are inside Russia becoming a real enemy right on their eastern borders. So I think what they're trying to do is sow the seeds for a long-term alliance. They do have the card of playing with India as well. They're trying to sell energy into India. And they also have the card, they are closer to Europe geographically. So I think, played astutely and carefully, the budding alliance between Russia and China could really throw a wild card into how the West thinks about its options going forward.
And as you mentioned, some other countries like India will benefit as well. All right, we're going to have to leave it there. Thank you so much, Charles Ortel, Managing Director at Newport Value Partners.